What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Xiaomi Mi 11i. Now, I'd like to thank Xiaomi for being kind enough to send this phone out to me to cover here on the channel. I have covered some of their other phones here in the past, so I definitely recommend checking those out, but this is the first flagship Xiaomi phone that I've actually had a chance to check out. Everything that I've covered in the past has mostly been their lower end devices. So it is definitely pretty interesting checking out one of their higher end phones for the first time. Now keep in mind that the Mi 11i is one of a variety of different flagship phones that have recently been launched by Xiaomi, so this isn't necessarily the best that they have to offer when it comes to flagships, but it's certainly a very capable device. Another thing that I want to mention as well is that this phone is not officially available in the United States. Now, occasionally it does pop up on eBay, and I will be linking eBay in the video description so that you can take a look and see if there's any being offered. Now, a decent chunk of my audience is located in the US, but on the other hand, there are a lot of people that do watch my videos that are located outside of the US. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about the actual phone itself, let's take a closer look and see what all comes included here in the box. So you can see right here, Mi 11i, and they are promoting that 108 megapixel main camera on the phone. Now in the box, we do get a SIM card removal tool. We get a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone adapter, so this phone does not have a headphone jack. We're getting a variety of literature. We're getting a clear plastic case, which is nice to see that it is included here. A USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And we're getting a USB wall adapter. And in this situation, this is a European wall adapter. Now obviously, if you do have your own wall adapter and you are in North America, then you can use that with the phone as well. Just keep in mind how many watts it is. Now with the Xiaomi Mi 11i, we're getting a 6.67 inch display. So a very large display here, and the display itself is Super AMOLED. Now the display features a 120 Hz refresh rate, so things move very smoothly here. Definitely a very refined experience with the phone. The display is 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 395. So a very crispy display. We're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow and taller form factor, and we're getting an 85.9% screen to body ratio. So in general, we're getting pretty small bezels here with the phone. Now I do have the brightness at 100%, and in general, this is a very bright, vibrant, and great looking display. I certainly don't have any problems with it, and it's probably one of the best displays that I've used on a smartphone in general. Now, if it was 1440p, I suppose that would make it a bit better, but I'm totally fine with 1080p. Obviously, if they wanted to give it 1440p, that would be great. I'm not going to complain about that, but I am perfectly happy with 1080p as well. Now, up top here, we do have a very small hole punch for the front-facing camera, and the camera itself is 20 megapixels. Now stay tuned for later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from the phone. Now with the Xiaomi Mi 11i, it is being offered in two different storage configurations. You can get it in either 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes. Now unfortunately, this phone does not come with microSD card expansion, so whatever amount of storage you do get with the phone out of the box is what you're stuck with. Now I do appreciate that they're at least giving us such a generous amount of storage, whether you go for one configuration or the other, so I'd imagine that the majority of people out there likely won't need a microSD card anyway, but if you are someone that does like to keep a lot of your media on a microSD card to make it really easy to switch from phone to phone, then I could see how that would be disappointing that you're not getting that feature here with the Mi 11i. Now with the Mi 11i, we're not getting wireless charging. Now they do have other models in the 11 series that do feature wireless charging, but keep in mind that this one does not. Now with this phone, we do have a side-mounted fingerprint sensor, and I'm actually a big fan of that. I prefer having a fingerprint sensor on the power button versus having it built into the display or on the back of the phone. And the reason for that is that I feel like it's always very convenient to access, because to turn on the display anyway, you're going to be putting your finger on the power button, so why not just have it double as the fingerprint sensor? And thankfully, it's also very fast. Now, in addition to having that fingerprint sensor, the Mi 11i also does support Face Unlock, so I do appreciate that we are getting a variety of different methods for getting into the phone. Now with this device, we are getting a triple camera setup. We're getting a 108 megapixel main camera. We're getting an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can take photos at up to 119 degrees. And we're getting a 5 megapixel macro telephoto camera that gives us the ability to take 2x zoomed in photos as well as close-up images. Now, another awesome thing with the Xiaomi Mi 11i is that it does support portrait mode for both the front and rear cameras, which is always a good thing to see. Now, here's how things look through the front-facing camera on the device. This is with portrait mode right now. Then we'll switch away from portrait mode, and here's how things are. Then from here, we can switch around to the rear camera. And in general, I'm actually a big fan of the camera app on here. It is packed full of different features, but at the same time, it is very well laid out, and everything is really easy to use. And here's how things are with the 2x camera, so that we can take those macro images, or if we want to, we can just zoom in at 2x, which is pretty cool. And then we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera that allows us to fit a lot more content into the frame. Now, the ultra wide camera with the Mi 11i actually does get a bit wider than some of the other ultra wide cameras that I've used with other devices. So that's certainly also a really nice benefit to see here. Now, going over to the More tab, we have a variety of different options. Panorama, documents, vlog mode, slow motion, time lapse, dual video. There are tons of different options when it comes to really making the most out of the various cameras here on the phone. Now, the Mi 11i is definitely a performance powerhouse. With this phone, we're getting 8 gigabytes of RAM, but we're also getting the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 processor. Now, with the 888, we are getting 5G compatibility, which would make sense because that's pretty much expected with any flagship device. But also, it performs extremely well. I did run a benchmark test here on the Geekbench 5 benchmarking app, and you can see I got a single core score of 1138 and a multi-core score of 3711. So definitely expect this phone to perform very well, and it certainly is a very high-end device in that regard. Now, video recording with this phone does max out at 8K at 30 FPS with the rear camera and 1080p with the front. So it is pretty amazing that you can take 8K videos with this device, but that is pretty consistent with what flagship phones can do from both Samsung and OnePlus. Now, with the Xiaomi Mi 11i, we have a 4,520 milliamp hour internal battery, and the phone does support 33 watt fast charging. Now, the software that we're getting here with the phone is Android 10 running MIUI 12. Now, in general, I'm more of a fan of stock Android. I wish they would have gone that route with this phone, or at least take a similar approach to OnePlus like they do with Oxygen OS, where they pretty much take stock Android and just add in a variety of different features that do tie in nicely with the actual OS. But instead, with MIUI, we do have a very heavily skinned experience, but on the other hand, things are nice and refined. Animations are smooth throughout the OS as well. It's not necessarily a big problem that they're not running stock Android, but then again, if you're currently using a phone that runs stock Android, or if you're using a Samsung phone that has their skin, then keep in mind that there might be a bit more of a learning curve with this phone, as this is a whole different interface than maybe you're used to. Now, for people that are really into tech like me, that's really not a problem, but for those that don't really want to spend a ton of time learning how to use a new phone, that might be something to consider. Now, with the Mi 11i, we are getting NFC, and we're also getting IPS3 dust and splash protection. Now, taking a closer look at the hardware, in general, I think it is a pretty stylish handset. It is being offered in some other colors as well, which is good. But taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have nothing. Then, on the right side of the phone, we have the power button. That's also the fingerprint sensor. We have volume down and volume up. Up top here, we have the noise-canceling microphone, one of the speakers for stereo audio, and we have an infrared blaster. Then on the bottom of the phone, we have the slot for the SIM card, we have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer, the main microphone, and then also the main speaker. So this phone does support stereo sound, which is really nice because when you're watching videos or listening to music or doing anything that involves audio coming out of the phone, you are going to be getting audio coming out of both this speaker and that speaker, giving you a more immersive audio listening experience. And then taking a look at the back side of the phone, it definitely picks up quite a few fingerprints. We have the triple camera setup, we have the flash, and then Xiaomi logo. Now, in general, I am very happy with the cameras that we're getting here with the Xiaomi Mi 11i. Photos look super crisp. You're definitely getting flagship level camera performance as well. And I'm not someone that's really picky about photo quality, so maybe keep that in mind with my analysis and opinions on it. But it definitely takes pictures that are definitely good enough for, I would say, the vast majority of people out there. I can't think of really any ways that the camera quality could be improved from my experience of using the phone, and I'll let these photo samples speak for themselves. So in general, I would give this phone a thumbs up when it comes to the photo quality. And as far as the video quality goes, I have similar opinions about that too, but I'll let you be the judge for yourself. So let's now switch over to some video samples. So in general, I think the Xiaomi Mi 11i is certainly a very interesting device from the company. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a front-facing video at 1080p from the Xiaomi Mi 11i. Definitely curious to know what you think about both the quality of the image and also the audio quality too. And here is a 1080p video from the main rear camera on the Xiaomi Mi 11i. Pretty quick autofocus in video mode, which is good. And here is a 1080p ultra wide angle video from the Xiaomi Mi 11i. Definitely a bright day outside today. Overall, it's a very refined experience with solid hardware, great camera quality that I personally wouldn't need to be any better than it is, and a display that's super bright and crisp and clear. So in general, I really like the route that they're going here with their flagship devices. Now I will admit that I do have some trouble keeping up with the various Xiaomi releases that do come out, because they do put out so many different phones. It's already enough for me to keep up with the various Samsung A-series phones, so adding on top of that the various Xiaomi devices, it can get confusing at times. But if you are specifically looking into getting the Mi 11i, I feel like you will be satisfied with it because, from my experience, it's been a really solid phone. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below what other devices you'd like to see me check out here on the channel. And with all that said, I will see you in the next video.